So I am sewing a book. This is a modern facsimile of Shakespeare's First Folio. It's being bound in a 17th century style, so I'm recreating a sewing style that would have been used at the time. So we know this sewing style was used because we can look at the book and see signs of how the original binder made it. So I'm sewing it on 5 hemp cords, which are strung up on this sewing frame, and I'm using a good strong linen thread to essentially bring the sections, these folded sections of pages together and attach them to these cords, which will form kind of like a backbone, a skeleton.
So this sewing style is a bit different from modern bookbinding, so 19th, 20th century bookbinding.
First off, it's on these cords. So when you think of an old book, you might think of those bands you see across the spine, and those are created by these cords. These sit proud of the spine, or when the leather's put on the spine, molded over these, you get those raised bands. The other thing that's a bit unusual is the pattern that I'm sewing. I'm going around each cord twice. I'm making 2 loops, which is a style known as packed sewing. And you get this uninterrupted wrapping around the cord. There's no gaps there at all. And again, that's not really practiced nowadays. So book bindings from the 17th century are generally higher quality than modern books. As time goes on from the medieval period onwards, you see books being bound ever more cheaply, using cheaper materials, thinner materials, and generally weaker constructions. So the folio is fairly robust. There's certainly a lot of material that goes into the binding, and all that material is really good quality. Now, these cords and threads should last hundreds of years, and many of these stay up. So yeah, it's a lot more labor, it's a lot more time intensive to make books like this, hence them being kind of luxury items at the time. So yeah, bookbinding is really enjoyable. There is, especially sewing a book, there's a rhythm to it, and if you can dedicate the time to sit down and sew an entire book in one go, which is always better, you actually form this rhythm, and that produces a better quality sewing structure. There's a tension, so as I'm sewing, pulling on the thread, in order to maintain consistent tension through the entire book. It's much easier than that if you can just relax into it and get all.
So by looking at old book bindings, you can tell an awful lot about the person who made it and the environment in which they worked. And there's some kind of like idiosyncrasies for some binders, and you can actually trace the work of particular bookbinders based on how they're putting their books together. As the Industrial Revolution comes in, the books are mechanically produced. Obviously, we lose that entirely. But during the hand printing and hand binding period, these are full of little telltales.